Now that he's a Netflix producer, along with his 8-adult wife, Michelle, he's producing more racial division. The latest is called Leave the World Behind. It's a fictional thriller about the collapse of technology and what humans would do with no phones or computers. The movie follows a family on vacation at a rental house, and one night they're visited by a father and a daughter who show up seeking shelter. They say their phones no longer work and they need a place to stay. So immediately the white family, because they're evil, that's included in their DNA of course, is suspicious of the visitors because they're black. And it goes on and on and on like this. Here's a clip.
I'm asking for you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people.
Can't trust white people. They're evil. This is the guy, remember, who became famous at the Democratic Convention in 2004 by telling us there is no white America, there's no black America, it's just one America. But of course, that's not really a profit model in politics, is it? So he's been stoking race hatred ever since, and the disarray around us is the result.
And our latest target, as you will see in this little trailer for tomorrow's bigger piece, is Michelle Obama. Watch.
Oh, man.
A former first lady with her own podcast.
I'm Michelle Obama. People line up for my advice.
No, not her. This former first lady.
I'm Megyn O. People need to hear from me. Many people don't understand. Not much is covered in the White House.
It's expensive to live in the White House. We made it through.
We got out alive.
But what happened to me?
What happened to me? No one talks about it. No,
When Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson focused their attention on Barack Obama, it wasn't just another political jab, it was a sharp, direct critique. They didn't rely on old talking points or soft criticism. Instead, they challenged the polished image Obama built over the years, calling out what they see as a legacy built more on speeches than results. Tucker Carlson highlighted issues like increased drone strikes, rising healthcare costs, and what he described as a media that protected Obama from real scrutiny. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly pointed to unfulfilled promises, like unity and transparency, and questioned whether the admiration he receives is based more on charisma than actual achievements. Together, they delivered a commentary that was bold, biting, and meant to stir real debate. Whether you agree or not, their message was clear. Leadership should be judged by outcomes, not applause.
We're divorced.
These are the kinds of things that I just miss, right? So I don't even know this stuff's going on.
Right.
And then somebody will mention it to me, and I'm all like, what are you talking about?
People think that they're on the outs because they're not always in the same room together, Maureen. That's
One of the most interesting moments in the 2008 campaign occurred when a man, like Obama himself, came from out of nowhere to recount his experiences with Barack Obama, the man. His name was Larry Sinclair, and he told an amazing story. He said that in 1999, he had encountered Barack Obama in Illinois, Barack Obama, and then used.
It's almost amusing how Barack Obama still carries himself like the world's waiting on his next big TED Talk. Over the years, he's mastered the art of delivering words with styles, so much so that many mistook charisma for competence. That iconic pause before every sentence. It gave his audience just enough time to brace for a policy that sounded inspiring but often fell short in execution. The truth is, while Obama had a powerful presence, not every decision lived up to the drama of the delivery.
My Hirsch piece, here's the Cliff Notes. Obama colludes with Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer. Sunday morning calls Biden and says, you're done. Kamala's gonna 25th Amendment you, and you gotta step aside.
And who places the call?
Obama.
Obama does.
So Obama calls the sitting president and tells him, you're done.
Megyn Kelly watches clips of Obama with a smirk, as if she's watching a rerun of a political satire that just won't quit. She can't help but wonder how someone made detached speeches seem like public service announcements. Remember hope and change. Well, the change part certainly arrived, just not quite how voters imagined. For many, it felt like digging through couch cushions for spare coins after policies redefined affordable pimpiment into something just out of reach.
When he does, I was like,
It's not funny.
wait a minute. What's going on here? And he's like, I'm teasing you, right? I was like, none of that.
Because he likes to tease.
Oh my God, yeah. But when me, Malia, and Sasha all of us are together, he doesn't stand a chance. We mercilessly go after him.
I believe that. I have no doubt.
You do, because you do it publicly whenever you can. When was the last time you said anything kind about him? Like, it's a 99-to-1 ratio in your public comments. So that's their rule. She and her daughters can tease him mercilessly, and he is not allowed to say anything.
And then there's Tucker Carlson, who seems to be enjoying every second of this retrospective. To him, Obama's presidency felt like a TEDx talk gone global, full of flair but short on follow-through. Tucker points out that while Obama made headlines with eloquent speeches and international charm, the substance often fell short. He sees a legacy marked by slow economic recovery, foreign policy missteps, and military actions that seemed oddly out of sync with the Peace Prize on the shelf. It's not about personal digs, it's about asking, what was really achieved behind the spotlight?
See the video of Biden at the debate in 2007 announcing that Barack Obama had an AIDS test?
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
Oh, it's the funniest video ever. Biden said, well, I think, AIDS is a real problem in the African-American community.
And the community's engaged in denial.
And I think we should all get AIDS tests. Barack Obama had an AIDS test.
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
There's a cutaway of Obama being like, I hate you.
It's an important thing.
Then Biden's like, which is totally good. And I think he's negative, but all men should get an AIDS.
There's no shame in being tested for AIDS.
Obama is so mad.
Megyn Kelly highlights the irony in Obama's public calls for unity, contrasting them with what she describes as a carefully packaged form of polished elitism. She notes how his stage presence often feels more like a self-congratulatory seminar than a message of inclusion, while his speeches often strike a lofty, sermon-like tone. Megyn suggests the real challenge lies in bridging the gap between elegant words and grounded leadership. To her, the message of bipartisanship often sounded more like a one-sided expectation where agreement, not collaboration, was the end goal.
On the record, they can pretend all they want that it's just tabloid fodder that has led people to think they're on the outs. That oh yes, he appeared without her, here or there, and people, no. Okay, first of all, she didn't go to the Trump inauguration. She didn't go to the Jimmy Carter funeral. He's been spotted out at basketball games and out to dinner with their daughters repeatedly without her. You'd be hard-pressed to find a recent picture of the two of them together.
Tucker Carlson often questions the idea that Barack Obama was a truly transformative leader. In his view, the transformations weren't necessarily for the better. Foreign policy in the Middle East grew more unstable. Healthcare became increasingly complex, and national conversations on race, while necessary, often felt more polarized. Tucker points out that while Obama's style was calm and poetic, it sometimes lacked the clarity or directness people were hoping for during national challenges. He jokes that Obama could turn even urgent matters into abstract metaphors, with speeches that looped more like a jazz solo than a crisis response. To Tucker, the elegance of the delivery often masked the need for actionable solutions.
This 16-page document, and they say, Mr. President-elect, wait till you see the cool things we're doing all around the world. And they've sucked him in. They made him one of the guys. And then we get the feedback at the CIA. Oh, the president loved this. The president had a follow-up question on that. Oh, the president said, oh my God, when he read this.
Well, it almost sounds like you're psychologically profiling the president.
Oh, I think that's exactly what they do.
And so they use the tools that they have employed for decades to subvert foreign governments, to subvert their.
Megyn Kelly often reflects on how former President Obama championed transparency. Yet his administration sometimes felt more like a well-rehearsed performance full of complex language and carefully crafted messaging. She jokes that he treated the Constitution like a choose-your-own-adventure book, with every turn seeming to expand federal oversight. Even the infamous tan suit moment still gets a chuckle from Tucker Carlson, not because it was scandalous, but because it stood out during a summer filled with policy issues that were often buried beneath polished press briefings. Megyn remarks that the media's tendency to defend every misstep as strategic leadership gave even the most mundane decisions an inflated sense of importance. Leading from behind, she says, sometimes felt more like taking a back seat during key national moments.
Barack Obama, he decided to drop a post on X today, and I thought, okay, maybe in the wake of the Pete Hegseth presser, he's going to say something like, no matter how you feel about the Iranian strike, hats off to our, boys in blue, our guys in the bombers. He went a different way. This is what it was.
Curious how you're thinking about this eulogy specifically in the moment and all the tensions that you just brought out.
I didn't even want to talk. I was so mad. Part of the reason I think I ended up having anything to say at that moment was when I heard some of the victims' families forgive the shooter. And I thought, all right, let's see if maybe this is a way America can hear me at this.
Tucker Carlson takes a jab at what he sees as Obama's unique approach to leadership, like hosting a summit on masculinity while key international decisions were increasingly shaped by global institutions. He jokes that the former president often spoke about misinformation, even while delivering highly polished messages that, to some, felt more confusing than clarifying. Megyn Kelly adds her own take, highlighting how healthcare reforms ended up costing more for many Americans, even as they were branded as progress. Rising premiums, limited coverage, and ballooning deductibles, yet somehow, it was still marketed as a win. That, she says, takes showmanship. On foreign policy, they argue Obama's strategy often felt cautious, or in their words, apologize, retreat, repeat. One of Megyn's most vivid memories, Obama's steady presence on late-night comedy shows. She notes how he started to feel less like a president and more like a recurring guest star. It wasn't always about passing legislation, it was about delivering punchlines. And the Oval Office. At times, she says, it felt more like a studio green room than the center of national decision.
But I'd never read that Donald Young, this man Donald Young, called you and told you that he knew you'd had sex with Barack Obama.
That was the contact in late 2007 that I had that originally came under the guise that they were part of the Obama campaign.
Tucker Carlson can't help but grin when recalling Obama's attempts to sound relatable. He jokes that it felt like watching a professor try to rap just to win over a classroom charming, but painfully out of sync. Obama's use of slang, Tucker notes, often came off like something he picked up from an online quiz, not real-life experience. There was this constant sense of distances if he was speaking from a lofty pedestal, where everyday people were more of a concept than a community. Megyn Kelly adds her own critique, taking aim at the near-mythical aura that surrounded Obama during his presidency. Whether it was walking on water metaphorically or being credited with shifting tides, she says the media built him up like a real-life superhero. When things went wrong, it was always someone else's fault. Economic struggles. Blame the previous administration. Foreign policy crises. A complicated inheritance. Public frustration. Apparently, we just didn't get his vision. Megyn jokes that Obama rarely owned a failure. Instead, he narrated them like a polished audiobook, complete, with smooth delivery and all the right pauses.
And it tells Kamala Harris, you're going to be the nominee, but if you don't gain traction, if you're not popular, we're going to take you out too. I mean, it's all shocking. It sounds true.
If, in fact, the 25th Amendment is worthy of being invoked.
Yes.
If his condition is such that it needs to be invoked and then they don't invoke it, then they're leaving the country in a precarious position of being led by a man not in possession of his faculties. If, on the other hand, it's...
Megyn Kelly laughs as she reflects on how Obama's speeches often felt more like motivational seminars than actual policy guidance, grand on delivery but vague on detail. She quips that he had a real talent for sidestepping accountability, often portraying obstacles as poetic metaphors for resistance to change. One of her favorite jabs, that Obama could stroll through a storm with a latte in hand and still convince the media that the wind symbolized pushback against progress. Tucker Carlson adds his take, observing how the Obama era spawned a wave of commentators who made a career out of interpreting his ambiguity as strategy. Post-presidency, Tucker says, Obama didn't so much retire as rebrand. He's become more of a cultural influencer than a former president, complete with podcast guest spots, polished streaming deals, and a social media presence that feels straight out of an influencer playbook. From curated travel snapshots to carefully worded reflections, he's turned statesmanship into a lifestyle aesthetic, one latte and soft focus photo at a time.
Me, Malia, and Sasha all of us are together. He doesn't stand a chance. We mercilessly go after him.
I believe that. I have no doubt you do, because you do it publicly whenever you can. When was the last time you said anything kind about him? Like, it's a 99-to-1 ratio in your public comments. So that's their rule. She and her daughters can tease him mercilessly, and he is not allowed to say anything about becoming over there.
Megyn Kelly wraps things up with a smirk, joking that if Obama really wanted to do America a favor, he might consider taking a break from the spotlight. Just 5 minutes of silence to let the country breathe without another perfectly worded reflection. She pokes fun at the endless stream of keynote addresses and influencer-style soundbites, echoing through leadership summits filled with people who treat hybrid cars like personality traits. Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson is still chuckling, while some supporters celebrate Obama like he's a living monument, complete with hashtags and photo filters. The rest are left wondering what exactly was transformed during his presidency, other than how to package underperformance with style. But as Tucker notes, it's far from over. Every time a mic flips on or a new podcast drops, Obama's voice returns, reminding everyone just how highly he rates his own legacy. And with every new speech, the critiques write themselves. Megyn, she's already got her notes ready.
My husband was commander-in-chief for 8 years and think there will be people who hear this clip who have no arms and legs thanks to these wars that we fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, I know some of them, and they will drag themselves out to run the Tunnel to Towers race and other races to raise money for other suffering veterans and firefighters who got hurt on 9/11 and so on, and their families are surviving, who have actual problems that were basically brought on them by the government.
Tucker's ready with another sharp take, grinning as he lines up the next round of critique. Megyn Kelly leans in, eyebrow arched, waiting for Obama's next nationally televised wisdom drop. After all, what better way to inspire everyday Americans than with climate advice from someone living in a beachfront mansion? She half jokes about whether those polished speeches are filmed before or after his private jet lands in Martha's Vineyard. The irony, she notes, could block out the very sun he's promising to save us from. Tucker jumps in, amused as he recalls Obama suggesting coal miners learn to code while grocery prices quietly soared and media spin repackaged hardship as resilience. The two share a laugh over how Obama could deliver a poetic monologue about policy and still get a standing ovation regardless of the real-world fallout. Tucker wraps it up with a pointed metaphor. Obama wasn't misunderstood, if anything. Understanding him too clearly just revealed the mess behind the performance. The deeper you look, the more obvious it becomes. He wasn't the wizard, just the guy behind the curtain, pulling levers and hoping no one noticed the sparks.